Did the special relativity prove that ether doesn't exist? In summary, the main goal of special relativity was to do away with ether and its universal reference frame, or absolute reference frame. Has it been successful? Well, consider 1. The special relativity is a postulate and does not contain any suggestion of an actual cause of the Kehr experiment actual data. The ether drag theory offers a logical at-rest reference frame, ambient ether drag, and a logical causal agent, ethon resistance. Number 2, consider the special relativity used the concept of relative reference frames to dispense with the ether, but the relative reference frames has been removed from the original. Special relativity and replaced with the localized absolute reference frame in the new special relativity. Number 3, consider that the special relativity dispensed with the concept of a universal reference frame to dispense with ether, but a universal reference frame has been detected in 2 vastly different experiments. Number 4, consider the Kehr experiment data used a localized absolute reference frame at rest reference point that has the identical coordinate system as ether drag. The special relativity uses an imaginary at-rest reference frame, but the ether drag uses a substance for measuring the ambient velocity. Number 5, the special relativity contains a formula that were developed by Lorentz for objects in the ether and for the motion of these objects relative to the ambient ether. How can a successful formula that was devised for use in ambient ether be used as a disproof of ether? Number 6, consider in the new special relativity, not even an atomic clock sitting on the ground is allowed to be considered at rest because the formulas won't work. In the ether drag theory, the stationary atomic clock is pushed through the ether by the rotation of the Earth. Thus, the stationary atomic clock is in motion relative to its ambient ether. The Kehr used an at-rest reference frame that is thousands of kilometers from any object in the experiment. This is a far different concept than the original special relativity, where only the objects in the experiment were considered at rest. The ether drag theory uses a substance that comes into direct contact with the atoms in the atomic clocks. Since the at-rest reference point used in the Kehr experiment data is part of So number 8, please consider, since the at-rest reference point used in the Kehr experiment is part of the formulas of the special relativity, then it must be a part of the physical cause of y. Actual time is a function of the velocity direction of the atomic clocks. The axis of the Earth is imaginary and cannot cause cesium atoms thousands of kilometers away to speed up and slow down. Since ether drag technically deals with ambient velocity, not relative velocity, the ambient velocity is part of the formula and is part of the physical cause of the clock speeding up and slowing down by changing resistance. The relative resistance in the ambient ether causes the electrons to speed up and slow down. This is electrons, not ethons. Again, number 9 here, consider the relative resistance in the ambient ether causes the electrons to speed up and slow down because there is no mechanism in an atom to detect changes in resistance to the electrons in the atom and to adjust the energy given to the electrons to react to the different levels of resistance in order to maintain a constant electron velocity. Thus, the electrons must slow down and speed up when the ambient resistance changes. Therefore, actual time must speed up and slow down. Number 10, consider not even the new special relativity offers a theoretical reason why the at-rest reference frame of cosmic microwave background radiation is not used in their formulas. They offer no explanation of what shields the axis of the Earth from the cosmic microwave background radiation at-rest reference frame or the at-rest reference frame of the barycenter of the solar system or galaxy. But the localized absolute reference frame works with formulas of ether drag, and the ether drag theory explains why it works. Ether drag protects and shields the atomic clocks from extraterrestrial effects. If the reader has been paying attention, it should be obvious that the ether and ether drag theories need to be looked at seriously in more detail. If it is not obvious, the reader should read the lists again until it is obvious. If it is not obvious, the reader should read the list again until it is obvious. The above items are simple facts. I haven't even gotten into many of the details of these issues, which is what this book is designed to do. It is totally absurd to consider the special relativity as a disproof of ether. How can a postulate which does not contain a causal agent for actual time changes, which is constantly being changed, which uses a formula originally designed for ether, and which cannot justify the use of its own at-rest reference frame, which is thousands of kilometers from the experiment, disprove the existence of a substance that can logically explain why things work the way they do?